A new trademark continues to suggest here that Steam is in the process of making a console, entering the console market. The Asus ROG Xbox Ally. The price, we still don't know what it is. It could be potentially better than we expect. PlayStation releases a new PS5 that's worse, but for the same price. A very odd thing happening there. We have an exclusive report from Insider Gaming on Insomniac Games and Wolverine, where we're going to be seeing that soon. So we have those things plus many other things to go over in today's show. But before we do start, if you do enjoy daily content, daily gaming news, make sure to hit the subscribe as I put out these videos every single day at 8 a.m. But for now, let's get into the news. So the console market is heating up in the form of more hardware. It's very odd because throughout this generation, people were starting to think this may be the end of hardware, at least specifically for Xbox. You see those articles still popping up, but which we know obviously is not the case. In fact, there will probably be more Xbox hardware next generation than we got this generation, which is a very, very different turn that people had not seen coming. And with the PlayStation going into the PS6, we'll probably see more SKUs for them as well with a handheld. And then with their at-home console, the Nintendo Switch 2 has just dropped. And there may be another big competitor here trying to get into the console market. They've tried it once before, they failed, and looks like they may be trying it again. And that is Steam. A new trademark here has popped up with the rumored Steam console. And I mean, the Steam Deck kicked everything off. They saw that people would still want to buy the Steam hardware with the sales for the Steam Deck. Not that it sold an insane amount, but it sold more than enough for them for it to be a profitable venture and for them to be happy with the sales of it. But they say here, before the Steam Deck, it seemed like Valve had decided to stay out of the hardware business, setting instead for its pretty sizable chunk of the PC games market. But since the success of the Steam Deck, and obviously with the rise of other handheld PCs coming out, we've heard rumors about an RDNA 4 powered device in the works. Now, we may have just learned the name of what this device is going to be, as there is a new patent that has come out for Steam Frame. And here is exactly what this patent says. We don't really know anything else other than the fact that it's Steam Frame. It is going to be computer hardware for computer game console, which would put it right in there in the console market. And they say here the trademarks were spotted on Reddit and were filed by Valve as of yesterday, September 2nd, 2025. Both are trademarks for the name Steam Frame, which is at least a tad bit more creative than Steam Console or Valve's previous attempt at this, which was the Steam Machine, though it's still worth noting with certain amount of salt considering the fact that there's been no official confirmation from Valve that it is working on a new console. So the Steam Frame here, it looks like that is what the next Steam console is going to be, or maybe that's just the code name and then it'll come up with a different name when it does launch. But more and more information is pointing towards the fact that Steam is going to be jumping in here to the at-home console market, not just the handhelds, with a brand new console here. And I would say this is to take on the likes of the Xboxes and the PlayStations and the Nintendos, because they're going to give you that opportunity to have your Steam Deck on the go with you, have your at-home console, be able to go back and forth between your entire Steam library. And with something like Xbox coming in here, and they're opening up their entire ecosystem where you're going to see Steam launchers on the next Xbox, GOG, all of those things there. Steam is probably trying to look at this and think, well, if there are people on Steam that want to have the at-home console experience, why don't we just give them that experience with our own piece of hardware? Even if we sell 4, 5, 6, 7 million units of this, however much they sell, they'll still keep them in the ecosystem and keep them away from the competitors, which would be right now on PC would be Xbox. Not that I think the Xbox store on PC at any way comes close to Steam at this point, but the features that Xbox is providing, like the Xbox Play Anywhere and the ability to put everything into one place, is definitely going to move some customers over to that ecosystem. So we'll see what this Steam Frame thing does. I don't think it's going to be insanely powerful. I think it'll probably just be something to supplement the other places that you play Steam, which would be your PC or your Steam Deck. But we'll see what they do here with the controller, because the controller was always something that I think stood out with the first Steam machine. People actually kind of liked it. They were going for it. they improve upon that, they'll need some sort of mouse controls, I think, for the mouse games that you have on Steam. So we'll see what they end up doing. But Steam Frame could be the next major competitor in hardware. Going into next gen, you're going to have more options rather than less options for hardware, which I don't think as we move further into the future, people really see coming, as a lot of people think this may be the last generation of consoles. And then we will be moving solely to an all digital era, to streaming and all that stuff. But as of right now, it does not seem that is the case. Another console that is entering the market, which will be the handheld market, the handheld console market, is the Asus ROG Xbox Ally and the Ally X, which they look phenomenal from all the previews that we have seen from Gamescom. We have a little bit of an update here on the pricing. We still don't have the pricing. We have the release date, but we don't have pre-orders or anything like that. And you got to ask, why wouldn't they just announce the pricing at Gamescom when everybody's excited for this thing and they really want to know all this information? There must be something behind the scenes that they are considering here. Maybe the entire economic conditions. We're seeing console prices go up. We're seeing the effects of tariffs, and when there's manufacturing in China and stuff having an effect on the price of hardware, maybe they're having to take all that into account. They want to make sure when they announce the price, that's the price and it does not move. But we do have this piece of information, which I think is great news, and I hope this is the case. They say that this is according to John Sicamecanico Clark from Xbox Era, that the ROG Xbox Ally could be cheaper than expected. The original plan was to announce the official prices at Gamescom, but Xbox and Asus are potentially looking at further subsidizing the devices following negative reception and feedback. So the original price that we had seen leaked out, this was in euros, was 599 euros and 899 euros between the Ally and the Ally X. And then there was another price leak that did come out for the US, which I believe it was 450 USD for the Ally and then 899 for the Ally X, or maybe it was 850 for the Ally X. It was something like those that came out from Bill Kun, who's a very good leaker when it comes to the pricing. And maybe they were seeing online the reception that, yeah, people don't want to spend $900 for a handheld, and they're going to have to take a little bit of it more on, a little bit on the chin there from Xbox and Asus, and subsidize more of it to get them just into the ecosystem and push that there. So who knows? Obviously, Asus and Xbox would have to work out a deal because Asus doesn't have the software ecosystem where they're going to make all their money back on it. They're making their money off of this deal with Xbox and by selling these units. So maybe Xbox is sitting there and thinking, we'll pay for a bit more of it. If we can lower the price, we'll give Asus a little bit more of a cut, and then people will have a better chance of actually going to pick one of these up. I'm all for that. I mean, I don't care how much Xbox has to subsidize or pay. If we can lower the price, that's great. Let's get the Asus ROG Ally X at a lower price than $900, because that's the one that I'm looking to pick up. One of the consoles that just raised in prices, and this not the first one or the last one, is the PlayStation 5. And they're doing something even weirder here, which very odd. This is the weirdest console generation we've ever seen in terms of pricing and lack of value at the hardware pieces, for just for the hardware, with the amount you're paying 5 years into this generation, definitely the least amount of value, because you generally see the prices decrease. Well, PS5 is taking away even more value. They are releasing a new PlayStation 5 Slim, a digital edition, but with less memory on it. So they're bringing it back down from 1 terabyte, which is what it's at right now, to 825 gigabytes, which was the original launch SSD size of the PlayStation 5, the fat PS5, which is the one that I have. And they say here that the report outlines that the console revision CFI 2100 will still retail at the standard 500 euro price point. So same price, less storage. The PlayStation 5 console revisions usually include another minor changes, such as performance and cooling, but the report outlines that they haven't been able to find any information suggesting these changes. And the report comes from data miner and JSON sniffer Bill Kun of Deal Labs, who has a very accurate history here of finding these things, putting leaks out, and them being true. But there will be reduced storage capacity on this one. It seems like it's going to go back down to that 825 gigabyte storage, which very odd here. Specifically, they say here, reduction in the console storage capacity from 1 terabyte down to 825 gigabytes, all for the same price. So the PS5, the value is getting less and less. And if you're somebody who only wants a PS5 for first party exclusive, they're really, in my opinion, at this point, it's just not there. Their games are on PC. they are not having a very good output at all in terms of just quantity of games. They put out good quality games, but the quantity, you can have good quality games and have more than one a year. You don't have to just focus all on one game with the amount of studios that PlayStation does have and only have that game. That's basically what they've been doing. This year it's Ghost of Yotei. So we'll see if they can kind of ramp it up. Obviously, with the games as a service, games being canceled has affected their overall development cycles. But right now, I mean, same price, lower SSD. If you're only looking for first party stuff, the value isn't there. And then there's so many other places where you can play games like Fortnite and Call of Duty, which is like the main games that people do play on PlayStation. So it's interesting how they still sell well. It seems like PlayStation can really do pretty much anything. And they know that their fans will still eat it up and buy it, and nothing will change. Or we'll see if this affects sales at all. But I'm skeptical. I still think the PS5 is going to sell well. And we also have a look at one of the first party games from PlayStation that we saw an announcement trailer for. We've seen leaks of this. We've seen leak gameplay of it, and that is Insomniac's Wolverine. It looks like apparently they're finally going to be showing this one off soon. And this will be in the next state of play. We just got the state of play for 007, which looked good. I'll talk about that a little bit. But the next state of play potentially is going to be having here the Wolverine finally being shown off. This is from Insider Gaming, and they say that sources have revealed that Insomniac Games Wolverine is ready to be shown off for the first time officially since the 2021 PlayStation Showcase. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember the last time we had a PlayStation Showcase after that. Have they only been state of plays, or have we had a major showcase? Because it seems like it's been forever since we've had a massive PlayStation Showcase where they showed off a bunch of first-party games. They say, according to sources who wish to remain anonymous, as I couldn't talk about the company's plans, PlayStation is currently planning its next State of Play event towards the end of September. So they're going to do another one, which is good. And they revealed that Wolverine is almost certainly going to be at the event, as the production of its next trailer has now been completed. If the game doesn't appear at the State of Play, then the trailer will undoubtedly be released in the next few months, with the Game Awards being the next likely candidate. So it seems like the state of play that we got from 007 isn't the only one we're getting from PlayStation in September. And I guess Wolverine is going to be their major highlight. I can't really see them showing off anything else other than potentially Fair Games, but everything we've seen from Fair Games, which we haven't seen anything, but we've seen directors and the heads of the studios leave. I would be shocked if that one shows up in really any major capacity, although I would like to see it. But we're finally going to see Wolverine. I'm not actually that excited. I mean, I'm going to be excited to play this game when it drops. I do think Insomniac is a phenomenal developer, but it's been so long since they announced it. We've already seen the leaks. We can kind of already expect what we're going to get from this. I just want to play it at this point. I don't want to see another trailer and then have to wait another couple of years to get my hands on Wolverine. But yeah, end of September, keep your eyes out for another state of play where Wolverine will potentially be shown, and I'm sure it'll be significantly more polished than the leaked gameplay, and maybe that will get the excitement back up for some more first-party PlayStation content. A game that is coming out here is Silent Hill F. We've seen Unreal Engine 5 just destroy hardware, and optimization has been terrible, especially with the recent Metal Gear remake. UE5 did not perform very, very well. Digital Foundry, however, is taking a look at Silent Hill F, and they're actually astounded by how well this game is looking. And it really can show the power of UE5 when a developer utilizes the engine properly. They say here, I was astounded by what I saw visually speaking, because this is an Unreal Engine 5 game, but it looks so clean. It's remarkably stable. It doesn't have the typical splotchiness and the temporal noise that we're so accustomed to with UE5 games. Edges were super sharp in both cases, PC and PS5. The performance stable, stutter zero. Everything about it looked and ran so well that you almost wouldn't guess it's a UE5 game. So this game is coming out here soon, and apparently is going to be a good showcase here for Unreal Engine 5. We need some more showcases. We need more UE5 games running stable on PlayStation, on Xbox, so that there just is more confidence that games with UE5 aren't going to destroy the current hardware that we do have, and people will just be sitting there and waiting for the next generation or having to get a more powerful PC. But cool to see here with Silent Hill F. So September is stacked. Tons of games that are coming out. And if games isn't your thing, I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be. If you have a console, maybe controllers are your thing. Maybe just collect controllers. Xbox did unveil their new controllers that we talked about yesterday. We saw this coming, and it is here. Bilbo can again hit it right on the nose of the controllers that were going to be coming out. It was the Breaker series. You got the Icebreaker, you got the Heartbreaker, and you got the Stormbreaker. And here is a look at them. They look pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. I do like the first two here in this picture. And yeah, these are available starting September 9th, but you can pre-order them now via the Microsoft Store if you are interested in them. They are $80. So pretty expensive here for these special edition, newly colored Xbox controllers. Not that Xbox has enough of those already. Stellar Blade, we know this game did very well. Sold well on PC, sold well on PlayStation, so much so that the studio is now able to make sequels to the game. They have confirmed that a sequel to Stellar Blade is in development right now. In fact, they say here in the recent financial update, Shift Up has confirmed that a sequel to Stellar Blade is in active development, saying specifically, we are actively pursuing the franchise development of the Stellar Blade IP and are currently developing a sequel to Stellar Blade. This sequel will inherit the action-packed nature of the original Stellar Blade while incorporating an expanded worldview and enhanced gameplay, further solidifying its position as a franchise IP. We anticipate that this will result in even greater success than the original. In fact, they say here, the anticipation was so high that it hit 1 million sales 19 times faster on PC than it did when it originally launched on the PlayStation 5. And if you think about that, a game that was already released, it was a console exclusive, and then it released on the PS5 and sold that much faster, or released on the PC, I should say, and sold that much faster. You have to think here that they're looking at making a Nintendo Switch 2 port and an Xbox port if they can, if they aren't binded to some deal that bans that for life. After a certain period of time when that deal ends or expires and probably would not get renewed, you would think they're going to release this game on Xbox and on the Nintendo Switch 2, and it'll get a couple million copies between the two platforms where they can take that money and just reinvest it in their sequel and other games that they want to make. That is a no-brainer. I think we'll see a lot more of that happening, especially going into the future. When it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, apparently they pushed back the Switch 2 launch for developers. The console was supposed to be coming out earlier than it did, and I think one of the things that really shows that is the amount of inventory they had. I feel like the Switch 2 was sitting in inventory for a while before it did launch, which allowed anybody who really wanted it on launch day to not have to struggle to get one. You could basically walk into a store and get one. And now we have some more confirmation here that they did push back the launch. This is a new report from Bloomberg, which is stating that Nintendo repeatedly pushed back plans for the Switch 2 after developers asked for more time to finish up work on their game. Specifically, it says here, Nintendo repeatedly pushed back plans for the Switch 2's launch after its designers asked for more time to perfect the games that would accompany the new hardware, according to people familiar with the matter. While the later than expected release tested the patience of fans and frustrated third-party game publishers, the company decided that aiming for perfection was more important, the people said, declining to be named because the information was not public, and Nintendo has declined to comment on the story. I mean, I fully believe this. And again, it's like I said, with the launch, it was handled very well. And a reason that was handled well, I think, is because they had so much time after these consoles were made that they could just keep producing them. So they had way more available on day one than, for example, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S, which those launches were handled brutally for the first 2 years of those console life cycles, where it was almost impossible to get one. You really have to be quick on the links when they did pop up, or if you were somehow lucky, walked into a store and one would be sitting there, but generally that wouldn't happen. And it's also odd because we've also heard that Nintendo has not given development kits to all third parties. So some weird thing is happening there with the console, but I mean, it's selling like crazy, so I don't think they care at all. Two more things here. 007, First Light. We had the PlayStation State of Play. The game looks very good. Looks like it'll be an awesome Bond game and a kickoff to, I think, a long-running series here by IO, who's going to be able to take this franchise further. We got the release date. It's March 27th, 2026. Go check out the gameplay trailer or the gameplay deep dive if you want to see all about everything that is included with this game. Stealth action. They really emphasize stealth. And they showed off 25 minutes of gameplay featuring a young James Bond navigating the world of espionage and intrigue. And they also announced the pricing and the actual collector's editions of this thing. There's a $300 collector's edition that comes with a replica golden gun, which is pretty cool. And then there's also the deluxe edition that you can get, and that gives you 24 hours early access and everything. So they showed off all of this stuff. I think this collector's edition is super cool, just because of what you're getting as the piece of hardware within it, and then also like that steelbook looks awesome. But $300 is pretty hefty and pretty expensive. You have to ask, how high quality will this golden gun be, right? That is the thing, right? Because the collector's editions, yes, they're expensive. A lot of the money comes from, they include the price of the game and the deluxe edition of those games on day one, so that basically takes up at least 40% of the cost. So how much did they put into making the collectible piece within the collector's edition? I've gotten my share of collector's edition. I'll probably pass up on this one, but that is pretty cool for anyone out there who is a Bond fan. And finally, to end off on the continuous news that has happened for the last 2 years, layoffs. Dreamhaven is laying off an undisclosed number of staff. And they say here that the developer/publisher who created Wildgate and Thunderfolk announced layoffs made to the studio. And as of writing, no specific number is out, but it's likely a good chunk. And Dreamhaven is led by the ex-Blizzard co-founder Michael Morhaime. It is the newer studio, of course, and the team only has a few titles under their belt, being the multiplayer shooter Wildgate, which Wildgate looked cool, obviously did not take off, but they come out here and they say that they have to reduce the size of the company. So unfortunate, more layoffs happening in the gaming industry. It's not going to stop anytime soon. But that's it for me. I'll end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.